Hi guys. It is a beautiful Sunday afternoon. My son's finally taking a nap when he is supposed to be. Normally he tends to fight it until later in the evening, and then all chaos breaks loose. The last few days he's been making huge progress with his speech. This morning, case in point, he said owl, rooster. He started saying train the other day, and just today he said tracks. So now he can say train tracks, which, since he loves Thomas, is a fantastic thing. He's able to name most of the characters in Thomas now. He's naming characters off of the Rugrats. He likes the Rugrats now. He's saying the names of the characters off of Bubble Guppies and trying to say the characters on Paw Patrol. This week has been pretty rough. Due to COVID-19, I am essentially laid off, even though I am considered an essential worker. I work as a home health aide, and home health aides and GNAs and CNAs are essentially, at this point, being treated like redheaded stepchildren by these companies who are offering deals to, like, say, RNs and doctors. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, during this scary time of global pandemic, we should be showing our doctors and nurses and all of them appreciation, and they should be getting perks. But now, mind you, the healthcare field and the medical field, it is a broad industry, and there are many aspects to it. And I can tell you, I am every bit as much a frontline worker as, say, a doctor or a nurse. Even though I'm not working all the time, I still have to be out in public to take care of my client and her needs. Excuse that. So yeah, it would be really nice if us lowly CNAs, GNAs, and home health aides, which I still am a certified GNA in Maryland, I just do not have the time, the money, or the patience to sit through another CNA class here in Pennsylvania to get my license transferred. But I am still a licensed GNA in Maryland until next year. That being said, shoot, where is my bookmark? The other day we had to go get a few things at Walmart. So I picked up a movie for my son to make his quarantine a little easier. He got Toy Story 4, and I got Lady and the Tramp, thinking he'd like that, because it's something I love, and of course it's dogs. And he loves animals. He could have cared less. Surprise, surprise. We found the old movie Fly Away Home with Anna Paquin in it cheaply. So got it too. And amazingly enough, he was taken by watching that girl fly the geese. Nan and I got some books. And I just want to take a minute to say that this one, The Nazi Officer's Wife, the memoir by Edith Hahn Beer, it is amazing. The chapters are very long, So I think I'm only on like chapter 7. I'm roughly halfway through it. It is fantastic, and it is amazing to read all the things that she went through. And the scary thing is that so much of this is being repeated now. Not that I want to get into politics, but all I'm going to say on that level is those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. So that's all I'm going to say, because the focus of my videos is primarily going to be autism. We will soon be celebrating Earth Day. I have no idea what we're going to be doing for Earth Day. It really depends on what the weather is. Don't mind me, I am really tired. I have slept maybe 8 hours the last 4 days combined, if I've been lucky. So, as you can see, my eyes are starting to get dark circles under them. They're baggy. I'm literally running on caffeine to stay awake and try to be the best mom I possibly can be, which, of course, due to the lack of sleep, doesn't always happen. I am losing my temper more than I should admit to. In my defense, I do go back and tell my son that I am sorry. I shouldn't have acted whatever way I did. But that is the real thing that comes with being not just a parent, but a special needs parent, especially if your kid has autism. You will struggle for years with sleep issues. I've had sleep issues for as long as I can remember. So having a baby really wasn't changing things that much for me. I've always suffered with insomnia. But now it's really starting to hit. I'm 33 years old now, and I feel like I have one foot in the grave because I'm so exhausted. I can't function anymore. Yeah, my son's downstairs listening to one of his movies while he sleeps. His Nana is downstairs with him. And so that I can try to relax and get just that little itty bitty bitty bit of, excuse that, self-care in. Because I know, especially once he gets up, I'm not going to have that time. I'm kind of hanging out in my room. I brought my book up. I've got my phone ready to be hooked back up to my nice little Bluetooth speaker back there that I keep on the charger while I'm up here. Got some snacks. I've got my drink. And I'm just trying to read and relax and kind of detox, because like I said, it's been a long week. This has been a tough week because I've only worked, at my job I get paid weekly and the weeks start on Saturday, so this week I've only worked 2 days, Monday and yesterday, and I mean, all I'm going to say is thank God for food stamps, and that amazingly enough, I managed to get the $1,700 for the stimulus for me and my son, because otherwise, I'm just going to put it real bluntly, shit would have got real here. Shit would have got real. But we learned, I think it was last night or maybe Friday night, that my son's favorite YouTuber, Steve Cash, passed away. He did the Sylvester the Talking Kitty videos, and gosh, did Logan love him. Logan loved watching that cat. And I mean, I try not to swear in front of Logan, and I try not to let him listen to too much that involves swearing. So, I tried to keep that to a bare minimum with the Steve Cash videos he saw, but he loved watching those kitties, and Shelby Girl. He loved watching those videos. That was one thing he and I would do, especially when he was able to go to school. If it had been a rough day, get him home, get the phone set up, we'd put Steve on, and he would sit and watch that cat. And he would just laugh. He loved watching Sylvester almost as much as he loved watching that golden retriever, Tucker. He loved watching the Tucker Buds and videos. He loves those too. Well, lately, speaking of YouTube, lately in the evenings, I've been getting on YouTube and putting on videos of some of the most famous trains for him to watch, because it just seems to relax him. His favorite seems to be the Flying Scotsman, because he recognizes the Scotsman from Thomas. The Scotsman made an appearance in the movie The Great Race, and oh my goodness, the second he sees the real Flying Scotsman, he looks at it and just gets all excited. Last night we were watching a bunch of videos about the Flying Scotsman. It was so cute, and he climbed up and he pointed to my phone, and he looked up at me and he goes, "Mom, train." I said, "Yeah, baby." I said, "That's the Flying Scotsman, just like on Thomas." And he said, "Thomas Gordon." And he tried so hard to say Scotsman, which of course he can't quite get it out right yet. I have no doubt that he will. But he sat there and he recognized the Flying Scotsman. Found this other video that had other British steam engines on it. Wouldn't you know, there was one that looked just like Stephen from King of the Railway. He loves that movie too. Exactly like Stephen. Same color, same shape, same funnel, same exact cart that he pulled with passengers. And I looked at Logan and I said, "Look, there's Stephen. There's Stephen." And he tried so hard to say Stephen. It was so cute. I mean, I really wish you guys could see the night and day difference in him. It's been something. If quarantine has done nothing else for my son, it has given him a speech explosion. He's not completely dependent on ASL anymore, which of course I intend to encourage him to keep learning and using sign language. It's a valuable skill. It's an asset. And it is a phenomenal way for him to communicate, besides using his words. Excuse that. Excuse that. But yeah, I mean, if you are a parent of a child who is autistic and he or she is nonverbal, one of the best things that worked for my son was baby signing time with Rachel Coleman. I know she has videos on YouTube. You can order her videos off of Amazon and her website, signingtime.com. And, I mean, take it from me, honest to heavens, your kids will love it. I know we started with my son when he was a little over a year and a half. And we noticed he'd lost his words and he was having meltdowns all the time. My best friend is the one who got us started on the signing time journey, and if it wouldn't have been for her, I never would have realized that you could teach a child as small as he was at the time sign language. And I mean, it took over a year of constantly putting it on and walking through it, and him only having, at the beginning he only had like maybe 2 or 3 signs, a bare minimum of 8 before his final year of early Head Start and before he got evaluated. And now he's up to at least 50. He if you walk him through it, he can sign a complete sentence, "Please help me, Mom." He can sign "thank you." He can sign day, tree, car, train, horse, dog, cat, bird, blue, red, green, yellow, play, game, a bunch of them. I mean, he's taken off with it. And honestly, it's been a huge blessing, because that, I credit that with him being able to speak now. He's gained words. He's gained complete phrases. He can now say things, because he started with signing, he can now say things like, "Uh-oh, he's stuck. Oh dear, oh no, uh-oh. Train tracks. Please, Mom, drink." For "please, Mom, give me a drink." He can say morning, night, dark, dawn. He just said dawn last night. And I know there were days when I got so sick of watching almost nothing but Signing Time and Thomas and Friends and Pocoyo. He loves the show Pocoyo. I mean, I would get completely disgusted on some level, that was all my life seemed to revolve around. And there were days when I thought, good God, this being a special needs mom, it sucks. It's boring because it's all the same thing nonstop. Well, I'm glad. Looking back now, I'm glad that he got as obsessed with those things as he did, because his speech has taken off exponentially. I mean, he is saying so many things now, and just he just amazes me. Oh, he can say please now. He knows the sign for please, and he can actually say please now. So, yeah. I mean, all I can say is if you feel like you're struggling with all of the things that a parent of a nonverbal child struggles with, like, oh dear God, I am just so sick of this show on repeat. I'm so sick of trying to do what the therapists say, and it doesn't seem like we're getting anywhere. Honey, let me tell you, progress may very well be slow. Sometimes it is so achingly slow, you feel like snails are passing you by. But one day, your kiddo, will surprise you with everything that they know and they can say. I mean, trust me, it's taken years to get my son this far. I mean, case in point, I'll tell you this little story. Last Christmas, his preschool had a thing where you could go in and have breakfast with your kiddo, and I didn't know that it was going to be this whole big thing where you were going to make a gingerbread house and all that. So I was only able to get off work for the 1 hour to be there for that. Well, his school has this thing where the kids have to either write their letters, write their name, or say the letters in their name. And they have to go swipe their name on the smart board, and then they get to go sit in circle time, and they go through this whole routine. Okay. My son, I'm standing there with his aunt, because her son's in the same preschool class. Standing there over in the one area with his aunt, and I'm sitting there watching all the other kids, thinking, God, I wish he could say his name. I wish he could write his name. And we had been working for ages, it felt like, with the finger spelling that goes into sign language. And I mean, I would show him how to fingerspell his name. And he would only get like 2 letters of it for me at home. So I'm sitting there just waiting for this to be a huge thing here. His teacher was talking him through it, and she got him to sign his whole name. I watched my son, who at that point was still very predominantly nonverbal. I hadn't heard too many new words out of him at all up to that point. I watched my son fingerspell his name, attempt to say the letters in his name, and I watched him go up to the smartboard after his teacher told him that he had done it correctly and he could go. I watched him walk over to that smartboard, swipe his name where it needed to go, and sit down in circle time without any, without having to be forced. He sat in that little circle time mat. He got a book and he sat there and he looked at it. And from a distance, he showed me where, all the things in the book. And he pointed them out and he signed what he could. And his aunt looked at me and she said, "Did you know he could do that?" And I stood there fighting back tears like I am now. I said, "No." I said, "I've been working with him for months on the finger spelling and the recognizing the letters in his name and all of that." I said, "I didn't know he could do that." I said, "I'm just as surprised as you." And like I said, I'd been working on that with him for at least 6 months to a year up to that point, and it never occurred to me he was picking it up, because it was just such a huge battle trying to get him to do it. And then he sits there and he does it for his teacher like he's been doing it his whole life. So, yeah. It's hard. And there are going to be days where you're going to sit there and you're going to go, "I'm not cut out for this. God, why can't you just take this from him? Take it from my child and give it to me. I can deal with it. Let my child have that normal, happy, healthy life that he deserves." I mean, trust me, there are going to be a lot of days where you're going to feel like curling up in a ball and crying and having those, "Oh dear God, why me? Why him? Why her?" moments. But I can tell you now, don't give up. There are going to be plenty of days where you're going to feel like giving up. But don't. It's not worth it. It's really, honest to God, not worth it. Just hang in there and you'll make it through. Bye.